Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome back to season 2 of Faith Family Focus. I am one of your co-hosts, Faith Suggs, former Duke women's basketball graduate and currently CEO and founder of my own business, Brand by Faith, a social media and branding company dedicated to telling the stories of our clients, as well as working with student athletes on their name, image, likeness. And this wonderful man next to me, let me make sure I cue that up as he holds his Suggs mugs up. Is my father, Schaefer Suggs, former NFL player with the New York Jets and the Cincinnati Bengals, and has served on the executive board with the NFL Former Players of Chicago, also known as the RPFPC, Retired Professional Football Players of Chicago. Good morning, Dad. How are you?
Good morning, Faith. Good morning.
Exciting.
So, you have no sun either, huh?
No, it's disgusting here. It's almost like, I'm telling you, when the winter months come, and this is why they tell you don't move places like Toronto, because you never do see the sun. So it's dark early. It's like dark at 6:30 here. So, and then you wake up and it's this. So, I don't even know.
And we're getting ready to fall forward on our time zones too. So it's going to get darker a lot earlier here.
Yeah, I remember how much earlier could it get? When it was 2 o'clock, I look outside, it's dark.
Well, 4:30, 5 o'clock, it starts to get dark once that happens.
Yeah, yesterday was Halloween, so it was sunny for some reason. All of a sudden, all week it was cloudy and muggy and gross. I don't know if anybody else felt that across the country, but I know for sure Dallas did, because they've had 7 billion flights have to reschedule and cancel and stuff. But here we got some sun for Halloween, of course, for the kids. I didn't see
Did you get any trick-or-treaters?
No, put my bowl out. Not one soul.
Wow.
They do this new thing called trunk and treat, where they go to a parking lot and you go from car to car.
Right. That's smart. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think with the pandemic and all it's just a couple different variables that are changing the dynamics of trick-or-treating right now. So
yeah, I'm interested to see if we ever go back to the regular door-to-door. I did see some door-to-door families, though. I did see them when I was driving back through the neighborhood, and then I also saw some couples. They put a table out at the end of the driveway with candy. Right. So it was something, but it's nowhere near what it used to be. So I wonder if it'll ever go back. There's a lot of things I wonder about when it comes to how the pandemic has affected our normal lives, and what will be normal and what won't be normal.
Yeah, and you remember I used to put the candy out too when I wasn't if I wasn't right out there, I would put it right outside the door and it would come. And of course, when I did that, it was gone in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, for some reason people steal. I never understood that. Like on the one holiday where candy is free at every single house, you feel the need to have to take the entire bowl.
If there's Reese cups in there, I might take the entire bowl.
Or whatever. All I know is, but leave the bowl behind. We had a couple notifications on our Ring Alert apps, the security apps, where the neighborhood can talk about what happened. And they had a bunch of videos of older people running up, stealing the bowl, and taking the bowl with them. I was like, if you really needed a bowl, we could have just left you the bowl.
That's funny.
But yeah, I don't know. Trick-or-treating might just be heading out the way, but it was kind of fun to see the little costumes. They celebrated all weekend here, and just as weather opened up, it's still starting to get freezing. It's supposed to be 40 degrees here in Kansas.
Free candy, the sinful nature of man.
We must use our minds over candy for some reason. I'm telling you guys this, the bags are 3 for $5. So
3 for $5. I want to ask Buford, what's his favorite candy? What do you think his favorite candy is?
Yeah, if you're watching, let us know. What's your favorite?
It probably is some kind of beef jerky or something that he's hunted.
That's not candy, Dad. That's not candy. I don't know about you, but if that's candy, I don't think that's.
I can see him because before the games when he used to come see Devin play, he would bring him some venison, dried up venison, and Devin used to love it. So I can see. See, there you go, Butterfinger.
There's 2 things I don't like to eat: Butterfingers and jerky. So it looks like you push them together.
See, I told you.
I tell you, I was at Target and people raid through the Halloween section, right? And the only candies that were left were the Paydays, the Butterfingers,
the old school ones,
and the Almond Joys,
Baby Ruth.
Babe Ruth, they were all in their own package. I think that the candy company knew and put them all together and said, we'll just put it all in for the older people.
Those are the favorites, boy. But I used to love Reese Cups, man. I still love Reese Cups.
Yeah, we had Reese Cups, but no one came to our door. So anyway, fail of Halloween.
A lot of people came to our door.
Nobody came to our door, Dad.
Okay.
And did the kids trick or treat?
I have to ask you, what was your favorite candy?
Me?
Yes.
Reese Cup.
You like Reese Cups too? Okay.
Reese Cups. You always get lucky when you got the big joints, the big candy bars, of course.
What neighborhood was that you guys went over to?
Whenever the bigger the house, the bigger candy bar. That's what I was saying the other day. I said, you're around the house with the big candy bars. I don't know if you know about that. But yeah, wonderful Halloween for all, to those who celebrate. A lot of fun costumes. It's funny, you start to see the costumes. They're no longer moving away. They're moving away from the weird, funny stuff, but they're moving towards like not any more monsters, more like celebrities, like dressing up as celebrities, or they dress up as like a movie character. And that to me is so much more fun than what it used to be. I remember someone was like, it was more witches and goblins and scary mask and the scream mask, all that stuff. The one, the scream mask that had the blood that you could pump the thing through and you can go through. And so but you're starting to see, little Paw Patrols and the Marvel characters and more Spider-Mans and Batmans than ever before. So really cool to see that. And it's just, the tradition, hopefully, as with the costume, stays on.
Right.
I do have pictures of the Suggs kids back in the day for Halloween. Here we are as a witch. See, a witch, and then Devin's a Tin Man. Guys, I'll be honest with you. That may be what he chose. He might have chose that.
Well, your mom made that. That's one of the best outfits ever.
Yeah, she made both costumes.
Yes.
Which both of them stressed her out.
Go back to the Tin Man, the other one again.
He is the Tin Man right there.
Yeah, there it is.
I just wanted to give the full view.
That's a great picture.
And he's not smiling in either of them.
Because you probably took his candy.
Nope, he got a bucket right in his hand. Yeah.
Awesome. Those were fun days. Pumpkin patch.
Yeah. What is Halloween? What is fall without pumpkins, chili, apple cider, caramel apples?
Caramel apples. Cider. Hot cider.
You didn't hear me say that?
Yeah, I did.
I gave the rundown on the fall. And then talk to us a little bit. You spent your Halloween weekend with your son this weekend.
Yes. There it is.
There he is.
We had a phenomenal game. It was a rainy day. It rained all day, most of the game. But I got a chance to stay up in the lounge the second half of the game. But it was an exciting game. There's two of his friends. There's Ben, and then there is his name from Oswego. But they're all three good friends, and it was a great game. We were behind. Columbia so 4 teams were 2-1 going into the conference, and now Yale is number 2 because they beat Columbia, and they have Brown, they have Princeton, and they have Harvard. So if they can win out, they might get an opportunity to share the title with them. But it was a great game. We were actually behind, and they came back and won. I think the final score was 37-31. Unfortunately, it was a very low attendance between the combination of the weather and I spoke to a few people. There was a gentleman there named Lloyd Saddles who had been around Yale for almost 55 years. He said with the new age of television, people can watch the games on ESPN Plus, and he said not playing last year really hurt the Ivy League's attendance this year. Because at one time that game, that stadium holds up to 70,000 people. I expect to have that. We expect to have that at the Yale Harvard game, but hardly the attendance is very, very. And when a stadium that big and we only have a few thousand people, it looks empty, right? So
Oh, we know. I went to Duke. Well, I will say this. Yeah, Duke football never really filled that up unless it was, the UNC game or we
Right,
had
right.
NC Central who was right down the street who would come in. But I will say this about college sports. The Power Five is thriving because they were able to push through COVID
Mm-hmm.
and play games, right? And even then, I remember last year watching Notre Dame storm the field during
Right.
COVID, right? So the Power Five and those, schools that prioritize money over, you know what I mean? That's just the truth of what it was. While we were negotiating last year, we had many debates about it, about if it should come back or it shouldn't come back. They will thrive because they did not take that break. And you hit it right on the head. Ivy League struggled because they prioritized the health of their student athletes, the face of the universities and the league, which was smart at the end of the day. The lawsuits that can come from a lot of student athletes if COVID had gone wrong. Um, we didn't have a crystal ball. We had no idea how those seasons were going to look. Right? We had a couple kids collapse after COVID-19, after testing positive and coming back, and we saw heart issues. And there's so many different things we couldn't predict. So I think the Ivy League will always. I think I will always understand why they took that break, but they're gonna have to figure out how to get that attendance up because not like they need the money. I know what the tuition is, but to even contend in make it an enjoyable experience. Because I mean, I don't know. I was watching. They do the little walk in before the game, the
Walk,
football.
yeah, the bulldog walk it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. These Yale kids, they go for academics. You can tell right away, right? So
Well, let me say it's definitely a different. It's very different. I mean, and I was talking to Devin and his friend Ben. He said it's definitely a different college experience than their friends that they went to high school, that are at other schools, and that are in really true college football environments where that day the town comes out, the community comes out, the state comes out. So the Ivies are traditionally, and of course it wasn't always that because football started with the Ivy League. So the Yale Harvard game was the biggest game in the world now, and that's why it's still traditionally a big game. So, but at the end of the day, um, there was a story. I was talking to a parent, and I was talking to the one kid, and he said, we're not playing, but it's hard to keep staying locked in at this particular point in the season.
yeah,
We were talking about him and Devin. And actually, Devin just gotten Scout Team Player of the Week twice. So that's being locked in, and it's being contributing to the team. And but he said it's I got to remember that I'm at a university that a lot of kids dream to be in. And he said last year, it was 2 years ago, at the annual banquet, at the end of the year, the seniors and all the kids were there, all the alumni, everybody comes to that day after the Yale game, after the Harvard game. And they asked the seniors to stand up, and they also asked the seniors, ones that have not secured jobs yet, to raise their hand. And it was like 8 of them. Before that dinner was over, all 8 of those kids had jobs that day.
yeah.
So that's really you. We were prioritize it, and I talked a lot about that. I talked a lot about it with Devin, and I talked a lot about it with his friend, and a lot of the parents that were at the tailgating party. It's just a different priority, and them realizing, that the glass is half filled, not half empty. I mean,
But when you go to an Ivy League, it is full.
it is, yeah. No, but I'm talking about relative to football. The guy,
Yeah. It's a bigger picture.
it's a bigger picture, yeah. And that was just such a good, healthy. I had a good weekend because there was a lot of parents there, because there's 130 kids on that football team. Where you probably got like 40 kids are playing, and because you still have remaining seniors and now different new incoming freshmen.
Yeah.
So you got to be patient, but it's just great to hear some of the Yale stories, and then talking to Lloyd Saddles, who has been there since Calvin Hill, just really showed a good perspective on how important it is, the fraternity and the camaraderie and the alumni of being a Yale graduate is. And it was kind of neat to hear.
Yep. Yep. That's why you pick schools like that. I will say this about the COVID year. There's a lot of seniors right now not playing either.
Right.
The COVID year has guaranteed that these rosters can be a lot larger than they once were. For football, especially, basketball is still limited, of course. I mean, the COVID year just impacted how many players they could bring in.
Okay.
Football, however, the COVID year, you got those kids staying behind. You also had already those kids who had signed. So there's a lot of seniors who are missing out on opportunity as well. They just happen to be there. So it's a very interesting dynamic. I will say this: we had an awesome show on Friday with Kirby Porter on the Huddle. Kirby played basketball at Harvard, and she put some perspective in my eyes about the difference between Ivy League off time, downtime compared to something
Yes,
that
I heard that. That was interesting.
In the summers we didn't have workouts. We that was the time we were supposed to pick up internships. So she got to intern with.
She went to Harvard, right? She went to Harvard.
She went to Harvard, and so she was able to intern, and she got a job immediately out of college with Pepsi and Mountain Dew.
She immediately got a job out of college with Pepsi and Mountain Dew.
Yes, and now she steps on. She's with Will Ventures, which is more the athlete-driven route, sharing stories of athletes. But and she started a company and a podcast, Court to Corporate, and we talked with her, and she just really put in perspective how the Ivy League does prioritize your next steps, because at the end of the day, you got to think about the reason people go to those schools is for the next steps. So they have to make sure every single student and student athlete is making those next steps, so they can keep getting great enrollment, so they can keep getting good face, right? That's the point of the Ivy Leagues, and it's a wonderful thing because it is a fraternity and sorority of success and guaranteeing and networking, and then we just really got to talk about it on Friday, and I thought it was great. And so if you guys missed that show, just scroll down.
Let me ask you this question: where can I see that podcast? Court to Corporate is what it's called?
Court to Corporate. It's on her social media. Kirby Porter, Kerbo Bangs, 2 S's. You just have to find her, and I'm sure she has it up. She also did an ebook about it back in the day.
Okay.
But really, she's a great social media mind when it comes to discussing not the transition from sports to real life, but more of the evolution on how to use it as a vehicle, but add more things to your tray, so that you're not just an athlete. You're not just not that. You have all of these hats that you can do, and so that's kind of what she talks about. And it's a different way of looking at it, right? Where we're taught as athletes to prioritize that and use that to get us in the door. She more uses it as a reason to grab all these things, so all those things can get her in the door. So it's very interesting. It was a great discussion, actually.
Yeah. When I was listening to her, when she was sharing her basketball experience, it was very similar to what I felt your experience was like. Not initially playing and finding your role, and then finding out what was really important. I just saw a lot of similarities that resonated with me.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of that's women's basketball.
Right.
It's a lot more common to have that journey than you would have anywhere else. There's not. You look at male sports. There's more draft picks, so you have a lot of stories that turn out that way.
Right.
And that's why women prioritize academics.
Hey, Faith, I want to back up a little bit. So so our viewers understand, we are F3. Faith Family Focus, and we are live on Monday with new shows every week. And on Wednesday, because we have so many wonderful shows for our 2 seasons, we always want to bring back we call Bring Back Wednesday.
Rewind Wednesday.
Yeah, Rewind Wednesday. And then on Friday, I just want people to, I'm just so proud. Your 5th or 6th episode of The Huddle.
6th, we're going into the 7th this Friday.
7th episode of The Huddle with Faith. It's just been really something that you really need to watch, and that's on Fridays.
Fridays at 9:00 Central, 10:00 Eastern. This week we have Anne-Marie Nitty, which I know
you do. Oh my God!
Excited about. So Annie and I are gonna hop on and pre-record Wednesday, and so we can have it for you guys live on Friday. So it's going to be a good show.
I'm excited about that.
It's on the topic of you. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'll let people know as we get closer, just the information on our next guest and stuff. So we have a couple great ones coming, but no, it's been fun so far. It's been fun. It's always hard to try to find new guests when you're on your own trying to find stuff like that, but it's been fun so far.
Well, you've been finding your guests have just been really amazing guests. I really look forward to your new shows, new episodes, and I know that you have a pipeline of different guests that you can bring on. And then, so from this show, we're wrapping up our show about about
Mental strength.
mental strength, and we're going to talk about the support system. That's going to lead us into a really wonderful guest with Laura Bokar, who has a book out called "We Need to Talk."
Yep.
And she's a professional psychologist here in Naperville. She's also on the board of directors with me with Fishes and Loaves, and she's really excited about coming on that show. And that's going to be on November 16th, Monday the 16th. So
Yeah.
continue with that.
So not, oh Lord, it's November 1st. If you guys didn't know, put it in your calendar. So not this Monday, not next Monday, but the next Monday.
On Monday,
I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so we'll be right back here on that Monday with it. Like we'll promote and share the book and everything for you guys to read. But that's another really great guest for Faith Family Focus, especially since we're talking about mental strength. Mental strength, and I think we have this show and then one more we're going to dive into, kind of grouping it all together, and hopefully Schaefer is going to start the Inner Winner series and all that stuff with his website, and we have a lot of great stuff coming for that. But I want to make sure we get our life lessons and life coach stuff going on to wrap this whole series up. But we have had an awesome series so far talking about mental strength, which kind of came to me. I presented this idea for the series after we had World Mental Health Day 2 Sundays ago. And so we wanted to make sure that we shared, what it was for us, where mental strength comes from. And it's bigger than just not crying and this and that. We wanted to really dive into what it meant. So we talked about self-discipline, which is a big thing for us. We talked about forming habits, and now we're going to dive into forming a strong support team. And I like team better than circle, because your circle, it moves and it works and all of that. But I really like team because we're a sports-based family. And at the end of the day, it really has to work as a team in order for it to be successful for you in your life.
Right.
And so
I like that.
Yeah, just to dive right into it, because it's a wonderful, we're already moving well through the show. Dad, what do you think your ideal support team has looked like over the years?
Well, it's changed, from, obviously when I was playing sports, you have that obvious support.
Yep.
It's pretty, everybody's, their main objective, main goal is very, very similar as an athlete. But when you transition, out of what you talk about, court to corporate, when you transition out, it becomes a little bit different. And it's a combination of friends. With me early on, because I wasn't in a relationship, it was friends and former teammates, and obviously my support, really important, was my recovery support system. The people that were around me during that time were huge, because having to redefine myself again, it was so important to have, I call it the people that give you that emotional support. People that they're personal. This resonates with me on a personal level. My mom was part of that. Your Uncle Clyde was part of that. People who know your journey and know where you want to go.
Yeah.
And then people that support, the instrumental support. Things that. So when you figure out what that is, the tangible thing, someone that has a vested interest in supporting you, and then getting the information, get information support. Somebody that helps you with your resume, somebody that helps guide you, And then the fourth part of it is the appraisal support. Somebody that's there that can offer some constructive criticism, And that support is a combination of different people. And it has changed and it has evolved over the years. So now at this particular time of my life, you are one of my support systems, Devin is one of my support systems. Of course, my recovery group is still much, but it has changed. But I think having someone that represents your emotional support, the instrumental support, the information support, the appraisal support. You need that appraisal support. You need somebody so when you're doing the circle of life, you need somebody to help you have a level of accountability, of it's called what you call um, just that tough love. You know, someone that will be totally honest with you. If you kind of stray off, you need that, and so that's what I think that support system should be a combination of all of those things.
Yeah. I think you touched on it. For me, I think you touched on it right in the head. At the end of the day, your support team evolves with each year and each quarter of your life for sure. So each year you bring along people or you drop people off.
Right, right.
Right. Not in a bad way, but life. And then each quarter, right, 25, 50, right, as you go through that, you definitely see that those are the ones you see how you're, even what you prefer to have around you changes, right? The type of people they are, the type of, I mean, whether you moved, whether you became divorced, whether you lost a loved one, whether you got a new job, right? All the different dynamics that can happen in your life journey directly affects what your circle, your support team looks like.
So let me ask you, how did your support system change from high school to college to just how did that change for you?
Well, I didn't bring anything from high school.
Okay.
I brought no one from high school except for one friend who is Jordan, and I keep Jordan around. Did not bring people from high school. When I went to college, that's where, because at the end of the day, you form more genuine. When you get to college and you play sports, you understand what a genuine relationships are and sisterhood is. That's a big thing that comes from college sports, and so you form those relationships. Where I have more relationships with former teammates than I ever had from people you grow up with. We also moved 3 times, so
That's true.
yeah. So when I'm in college, I was in my most independent, forming my circle way, and Devin's doing that right now with his inner circle, he likes to call it. You form these genuine relationships in friend groups that change each year, right? Each year of college it changes, but I have built all these relationships that I have even today, and that I moved to New York and I had friends in New York, right? I had a family in New York. I had this and that was, those are the people that are directly around you. And then you have your phone call friends and your support team, and then you have your family and your team. But it changes, and I've always said this, from who you're around.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. Did it change from your freshman year to your senior year at Duke? Did it change
Yeah.
your support? Yeah.
Yeah.
From because you had girls go out, graduate, and then new girls come in.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. You're just echoing when I speak. So I'm just gonna so when I that's my biggest thing from your first year to my last year, it definitely changed. But from when I moved like to New York and stuff like that, I started, I think college in the last 2 years when I came out of college, 3 years, I learned how to prioritize and like what I wanted around me. And I also had to navigate, and this is something, Dad, you can tap a little bit on this, what type of friend I was and what type of person and I was. Like, did I need to talk to my friends all the time in order for it to be a like genuine relationship, or could I go away, come back, phone call, pick up like nothing ever left? And I think that was something I had to figure out, because there's also oftentimes where I felt like I had to always be the communicator, always be this, always do that, or else I wasn't being a good friend. So when I started to navigate my boundaries and understand, what type of friendships I want and what type of people I want around me, it helped me a lot and helped me kind of see who was really my friends and who was really my family. Because when you're young, you feel like you have to be that way with everybody, but as I grew older, I was able to become more selective.
Right. Well, let's talk about that relationship between you and me, your dad, because that has evolved because we have been our support system. You've been my support system. I've been your support system. How has that changed, and how it has? One of the things I've learned just from this show and just from our growth in this last year is, we have that support. We provide each other the emotional, the instrumental, the informational, the praises. We provide each other that.
Right.
How have you been able to put up healthy boundaries as we still support each other? But how has, because you got to have that in your relationship too with Shane, right? How has that changed over the last few years?
Family, specifically, and I'm glad you tapped on this because family is part of your inner team, right? Your support team, the key part, right? You have friends, you have teammates, and then you have family who's been there the longest, whether they like it or not. I think the biggest thing for me was a lot of us tried to prioritize family over like friendships and relationships because we feel we're supposed to. And because we're trying to and always do that, we we don't understand when boundaries are being crossed.
Right.
And I think that one thing I had to do was not put you guys on the back burner at all. That's nowhere near what happened. But it was more I put you guys in this spot that is like never moving. Like you guys are always there. I don't have to try to keep giving to you guys so that you guys stay in my team. No, I wanted you guys are there. I know you're not going anywhere. It's not really much of a choice, right? You're my family. But I have to be able to form other relationships and other friendships. And I have to learn to not take everything you guys say literally. And I have to not always need your guys' approval. And I think that was one of the biggest things for me is a strong support team. And this is what I was learning is people you feel that you can be vulnerable with and people you can feel comfortable with. And the people, their judgment does not stray from a place of hatred or resentment, but more of a place of you can do better or you could do this, or I don't know about that one because you both have genuine things. And so for me, a lot of the stuff I wasn't ready to have those like judgmental or conversations with you guys because when your family is always the ones who are the most form the most criticism, right? And their criticism hurts. And so one of the biggest things I had to do was I didn't want you guys to be in my support team. I just wanted you guys to be my support team. And then there was my support team I built, right? And so I had to learn how to set those boundaries in a way where it was like my personal boundaries, like Faith. No offense, but it doesn't really matter what they think, right? They're going to love you for whatever. And so you should involve them in this. You should involve them in that. You should involve them in your thinking and your process like that, because eventually when it comes down to family, they'll get over it. They'll understand. And because they love you, they'll encourage it. And I think that's a big thing for a lot of people because they want to please and they search for that approval amongst those that have seen them and known them their whole life. But that very search for approval and like need can stunt their growth in a lot of ways. And that's something I was having like a major understanding come to Jesus moment about, especially last year.
Yeah, I felt that too.
Family's your life, right? Family is the people who have seen you from diapers to now. But sometimes that can be enabling if it's not allowing you to take risks.
Right. Well, I feel that more that we've gotten to grew from that because now I respect that from that you need that from us, and hopefully Devin is learning because we do have a business partnership that we have navigated. We learned how to support ourselves that way and be able to compartmentalize the two, and so I see that growth that we're able to support each other on the professional level with my program, In a Winner, your program, your company, Brand by Faith, the things that you do on the professional level, we still mentor and support each other. We need that. So that's my point. I just wanted the viewers to hear that because family is something that is important. And I like what you said that you put them there. They're not going to move. They're going to always be there unconditionally.
Right.
And I had to learn how to not take it personal. And because I was the one that, as a father, as a parent, I want everything to be perfect. I want to push you. I want to praise you. I want all that thing. You don't necessarily need. You already know that from me, and that's what I had to learn to accept as a parent. So
I think that what we learn from when you're building this team of allies, this team of support.
I like the allies. Mm-hmm.
I think that what you learn through life is sometimes some of your closest friends are sometimes the best motivators and support team compared to family. And that's not like a shot at family, but that's more they know they have the benefit of seeing you as you are now. And I think that that's a big thing, because family sometimes sees you as who you are to them and who you were and who you've always been. And I think that the relationships you form as an adult and the relationships you form within independence has the ability to help you grow more than family does, because they only know what you want to be. They don't know who you once were.
Yeah, they have more of a neutral lens on you.
Yes.
Right? They don't have the history, right? That can cloud their perspective and their image and their opinion of you. Or not that with your family, there's history. There's a lot of things within family that you're navigating with. So when you talk about, someone being supportive and helping you move the needle, sometimes you definitely need to have a combination. I always say it's a combination of team, which is where we came from, a combination of family, and a combination of friends.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things, and we can take a second to tap on it, is like all these things though have to be a mirror to what you want. And they always say every person you meet is a mirror to who you are. Right? So like how you perceive them very much has to do with how you feel inside about things, right? Sometimes when we mean people, it's a mirror to, why was that person mean? Why did I not like that person? What in me did that trigger to be me? Right? Or you meet a kind person and it's a mirror back to yourself. Wow, I really want to be kinder. I want this person around me because they motivate me to be a kinder person.
Right.
And I think that that's kind of like one of the biggest things, as I said, is I listed a couple things that goes into my mind when picking the right people, is what qualities do you like in yourself and that you want to do to accumulate to be a better you. And those qualities are what you need to see in the people around you.
So what I hear you saying is that the qualities that you possess, you want to, you want that connection with someone who has very similar qualities that connect with you,
or the qualities that you prioritize and want.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, if I meet Tony Snell, I don't know what the names are, Tony Schmo, right? And you meet Tony and you're like, wow, Tony is a great giver. He's a giver, right? He gives his time to people, right? Whether it's to charities, I've had teammates who are like that. Wow, that's a quality I have that I want to grow. I need to get to know that person better. I need to understand how their brain works that way, right? And maybe they'll rub off on me, right? Because it comes from a genuine place. You always want to have people who not only you feel comfortable with, but also who you are comfortable becoming like as well. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something, because we've all met people, you're like, I don't completely agree with that person's motives. Or this year, the last 2 years, we've learned we don't really agree with that person's political background. Right? I don't believe in this or that, right? Everyone has an opinion. We live in America. What we have learned as people, as humans, is that stuff tends to matter, right? Because we want to be able to feel comfortable and vulnerable enough to have authentic conversations with people. And some people can have debates and disagreements and conversations, but some people genuinely want to now surround themselves with people who will motivate them to learn and educate themselves better, and to be kinder, and to get stronger, and study the book, and all the things that come down to it. That is what we're starting to prioritize as humans. And it's an amazing change, right? It's a major thing that we're all starting to look for those authentic relationships. But for me, it's very much the qualities. What qualities do I want people to say when I move on to my next life? What qualities do I want people to talk about and say about me, right? And each of those qualities have to be relevant in each of my friends, family members, spouses. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be there as well, right? They don't have to be the best leader, but I still need to feel like, oh, I just learned something from that person when it comes down to my leadership journey. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And then
how do you, I like this question. How do you set boundaries with those who don't align with your goals and habits? How do you do that?
I do it every day. I'm the worst at that, though. I'll just disappear. And I tell people don't do that. I tell people don't do that all the time. And Lene's one of those people who's like, I didn't block. She does it every single time. She'll block you. You're done. I haven't blocked a single person unless it's a spam call in so long. I can't do it because I don't want it to be ghosting isn't always beneficial for your own mental health, but also another person.
Right. Because you're not dealing with the issue, the core of the
You're not
issue.
dealing with the issue. And not everything needs closure. That's something I tell people all the time. No, not every situation needs closure. But you do need to have come to terms with yourself. You need to have closure with yourself and have a conversation about why that's not benefiting you, why that's a good idea, why it's a bad idea, right? You have to have those conversations with yourself because at the end of the day, self is what really motivates everything you do.
That's important. I got to do a better job of that. Is you just don't ghost and just not deal with the issue of why
you're resentful.
Do that.
Yeah, you're
have the conversation. Do you need to have the conversation with that other person? Well, the reason that you ghosted the person initially because you couldn't have the conversation with that other person.
Right. Yeah. That's my biggest thing is like, if you don't really come to terms with closure with yourself, and then eventually you can have closure with that person, if that's something that you think is needed, then do it. But if not, you might have that resentful feeling, right? And you ever had like someone's name comes up and you're like, oh, and then you think about it, like, why did I just do that?
Right.
Right. Like what about that person who's no longer in my life or no longer a friend of mine or no longer a coworker of mine? Do I still have these weird feelings about?
Right.
Let it go.
Right. How's that good for your your mental health and your well-being? How can that be? It's not.
No, it's not. That's a big thing I've had to learn. It's like, that's just me being petty. You know what I mean? But that the boundaries are key, especially boundaries come down to the very fact is, why am I still entertaining this conversation? Is it for me to be nice to the person? Is it for me? Do I feel like I'm supposed to talk to this cousin that I don't like? Right? Am I supposed to talk to this aunt who I don't agree in? Right? We have all seen those stories, right? There's a younger generation coming up who is more educated on social justice, on politics, on all the tough stuff that's coming on, right? And we're starting to see Thanksgivings are starting to get a little sketchy. And one thing I have noticed a lot is that this younger generation is so big on setting their boundaries. Like, I do not have to talk to that person if I do not want to. One, for my mental health, but also, what on earth am I gaining from this experience, right? Every person you come across, you share energy with, right? And you want to make sure your support team has that awesome, encouraging, motivating, bettering energy, right? That supports you and encourages you to get better. And sometimes those boundaries have to come in because that person at the end of the day does not align with what you believe in, what you are, who you want to become. And so when we talk about those boundaries, the boundaries can simply be this relationship. I've had this friendship, I say this friendship is no longer going forward.
Right.
There's no ill wishes. There's no frustrations. It's just sometimes the candle goes out, right? Sometimes the friendship no longer has anything in common. Sometimes you no longer live near each other, but you don't have that bond that was built, right? A lot of things happen like that, and we have to be okay with it as humans because this life is too long.
Right.
Try to be friends with everybody forever.
Yeah, that reminds me of the analogy that I used about my bookshelf of friends. They're at different levels, and then sometimes people, if you're on that bookshelf, you are a friend or you have been a friend and you've moved up or you moved completely off. When they move completely off the bookshelf, it's to your point. There's no reason for that person to be in my life.
Yeah.
There's no reason because they're on the bookshelf. The bookshelf is there as that represents me and my support and my goals. And so I like your analogy about that because what did Morgan Freeman say? You can get busy living, you can get busy dying. Okay, you can get busy going forward, you can get busy going backwards, and you need somebody in your life that will allow you to keep navigating forward.
Yeah, I think that's kind of taps into my next question, which is something. So I had these four ideas. First was, what qualities do you like that you want to see in other people? And the other one, where are these people in their life compared to where you are? Are they parallel? Are they behind you? Are they ahead of you? And you have to navigate what it is you need in that moment in your life, right? Sometimes people need people behind them so that they can work on their leadership or supporting another person, giving kindness. And sometimes people need that so they don't feel like, because a lot of people, especially in my generation, have the issue of comparing, right? We compare. This person's working on Wall Street. This person's in their third year of medical school, right? You have all these things. So sometimes it can affect you negatively. And I think some people need to understand where they are mentally, right? Obviously, they need to get mentally stronger to be comfortable around other people who are ahead of them. But sometimes having people behind you reminds you how far you have come. And sometimes giving back to those people is the very purpose that you want to live. And then parallel, sometimes people need people parallel them so they can understand, like, man, my boss did this. And that person goes, well, my boss did this. And there's a mutual bond and understanding and support and vulnerability going in that relationship. And some people need people ahead. And this is a lot of people, right? This is what we said. You want to pick people that will better you in the long term. Every single one of those friends, parallel, behind, and ahead, benefits you in some sort of way, right? But it all comes down to where you are mentally, right? And so for right now in my life, I want people who are ahead of me, right? Because they will motivate me, but also I'll be learning something. My friend MJ, we're in the same type of career. He's a photographer, a videographer, he's creative, right? I'm in a way of telling people's brand and having to be creative as well. So when he does things, I take note on how he runs his business and I try to figure out and match it as well. Like that type of friendship is where I need to be right now in my life. Now, 6 years from now, I may be like, you know what, I need someone parallel that humbles me and is like, no, you don't have to keep doing this, this, and this. Now you can relax, right? You have to understand where you are mentally, and then you have to acknowledge where your friends are mentally and understand who to, like you said, take off the bookshelf and who not to. All these relationships are still valuable, but understanding how they'd affect you for where you are, whether it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, how does it affect you mentally?
That was powerful.
Yeah. So where are these people in life compared to where you are, and where do you need them in their life in order to be in your life?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a very healthy perspective on it, because your grandmother said, recruit up, don't recruit down. You'll find somebody that you can aspire to be, versus some people, depending on where you are emotionally, they find people that are less than them because they can enable them and not focus on themselves.
Right. I think that it just depends, because sometimes, like I said, like when you are recruiting up, sometimes that can be tearing you down at the same time. So you have to, like, that's why I kept saying, you have to acknowledge what you are capable of being around. Like some people are like, have been fighting for their opportunity for so many years, and then all their friends are finally hitting gold, right? Sometimes that can be hard on people. So that's where my generation is understanding. Do you always need to be at that celebratory party? Like maybe just send your congrats and then like just relax. You're okay. Your race is moving. It'll get there, right? And that's just that's why I would say it depends on where you are mentally, because you just have to have that honest conversation with yourself, right? We always do want to recruit ahead. You always want people better than where you are, so that you feel that you are coming along as well. But acknowledge when you're doing too much. That's what we talked about on Friday with Kirby. She said, why do I always feel like I have to run? Because we're around people that are run. So just acknowledge when you need to take a chill pill and just be thankful for where you are.
Right. There's a question that I really think is important, and you might have touched on it, but I just need to, do you feel that your best self around these people?
That's another thing that's important, I think.
Yes.
Because then I talked about a little bit before, is like, and being your best self is being vulnerable, authentic, like your goofiest self, your funniest self, your motivated self, all the selves that you really love about yourself, right? Like all those great qualities. You ever been in a great mood and you're driving and you're drinking your coffee, or you have the music on, you're like, wow, I really love myself. You know what I mean? Like, I love this about my life. I love this, right? When we're in those moods, when your dopamine's moving, you're happy. All those things that you love about yourself have to be relevant and like in the circle of your friends. Like you have to be able to feel all those things with people around you.
Yeah.
Because then how authentic are you if you're not? Life is too short that you don't get to be that way with those you love. And that was my biggest thing. It's like, yeah, your best self could be when you're super hyper focused on work. Sure. But I always think it's like that feeling you have when you're super proud of yourself. That feeling should be always around when you're with those people that you love. Because they bring it out of you.
Right. I really like that.
Yeah. We all have our friends that like you will laugh, talk forever. Those are the friends that like you should have around forever because that's authentic. That's your real you. It's what comes out when you're by yourself, and it should come out when you're with people you love.
And they're also the friends, and I can just tell you who those friends are. But they're also the friends that you don't have a problem being vulnerable with either.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, vulnerability is big. Life is too short to only share your true self with yourself.
Right. This is really a good series.
Yeah.
I really like this.
Yeah. I thought this was key. You know, like when we talk about mental strength, we talked about self-discipline, which is key. Right? We talked about using our self-discipline to form habits. And now we're talking about forming a support team around you so that while you're doing all this work, while you're doing all this self-discovery, habits, self-discipline, this team around you is there for you to fall back on, support you, introduce you to people, provide that vulnerable space to cry, laugh, dance, whatever it is. That stuff is important because they always say a flower only fails with the environment that you put it in. Right? If you grow something from love, with sunlight, with good soil, it grows, right? I'm learning that now. I switched my pot. I finally took my plant, my peace lily, out of the plastic pot that it gives you at Menards into a real pot, and all of a sudden now it's growing.
Right.
So
I think I shared that with you when you first got it. You needed to do that.
Other pot, that one's still in the pot.
Okay.
I took the entire pot into a plastic one so it looks fancy. But no, that's my point. Is your environment that you put yourself in is how much you grow. Period. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us this awesome Monday morning. We love talking about mental strength. It is so key, especially as we're going into another year soon enough. We're almost there. 2022 is right around the corner. We're thankful to those who stopped by, but most importantly, to Amazon Fire, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Apple TV, and most importantly, our key platform out of Phoenix, Arizona, E360 TV. Again, this is Faith Family Focus, where we use our faith as a vehicle to help heal and sustain others on strengthening their own family core. And of course, our slogan:
let go, let God. Let go, let faith. Let go, let love.
Everyone have a wonderful Monday. We'll see you guys on Friday.
Yes. The huddle.